live on Joy 99.7 FM and Hits 103.9 FM in Accra. In Kumasi, we're on Love 99.5 FM and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including ATL FM, Cape Coast, Might FM, Tamale, Bewa Radio Yendian, Inkligi FM, Bole, Get Radio TV, and online content on the myjoyonline.com interactive app for Android and iOS devices. Coming up, Parliamentary Christian Fellowship calls on the Seventh Day Adventist Church to reconsider its decision to push for a change in a day for voting in general elections, saying it will not back the proposal with a private member's bill.
I will not consider that private member's bill. Rather, I will rather appeal to my brothers and sisters from the SDA fraternity to reconsider.
Also, the University of Ghana denies the involvement of its students in the assault of a suspected homosexual on its campus. Details, as it says, any member of the school identified to be involved in what it describes as a cruel incident will be appropriately sanctioned. We have business also.
So for security reasons, it is imperative that we register our SIM cards.
And months after the government forced many Ghanaians to link their Ghana card to their SIM cards with a promise to flash out scammers and fraudulent activities, many Ghanaians continue to reel from the menace.
By the moment I just dialed my PIN code, they just took the money.
We have details of these and more coming up with me, Mami Sinyamiche Thompson. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. In our first story, the Parliamentary Christian Fellowship is calling on the Seventh Day Adventist Church to reconsider its decision to push for a change in the day for voting in general elections. The church is asking the Attorney General and the Electoral Commission to consider making amendments to this year's voting day because the date falls on a Saturday, which will conflict with the Sabbath. Speaking to Joy News, Chairman of the Parliamentary Christian Fellowship, Emmanuel Bidra, said they are unable to back the church's proposal with a private member's bill because it has great prospects.
I will not consider that private member's bill. Rather, I will rather appeal to my brothers and sisters from the SDA fraternity to reconsider, because you see, as I mentioned, it's the day they are talking about, Saturday. It's not about the date per se, but the day. So even if you change, we have any constitutional amendment now, and then it falls on the same Saturday in the next 10 or 20 years, does that mean that we have to come up with another constitutional amendment to change it?
Well, the Women's Ministry Director of the Seventh Day Adventist Church Southern Ghana Union Conference, Solis, says the church does not dictate on the civil liberties of its members.
Our position is that in as much as we are entitled to our religious liberty, anything that goes contrary to our religious liberty, we must speak up about it and make proposals for a change. Truth be told, the Seventh Day Adventist Church does not legislate to its members whether to vote or not to vote.
In other words, they can go to church in the morning and turn up later and cast your ballots.
What you would find is that it's left to the individual to decide.
Well, the private legal practitioner Martin Pebu says is asking the state to consider exploring an avenue where the church can participate in early voting.
Since it came, we are also thinking about it. I've been wondering whether we can do early voting for them, like we do for the security agencies, except that the security agencies, police agencies, put their combined numbers. They are not up to 400,000. So let's look at it. It's just, right now we are looking at the alternatives. It's one of the things we can do, early voting.
You heard private legal practitioner Martin Pebu. Away from that, the University of Ghana has denied the involvement of its students in the assault of a suspected homosexual on its campus. In a statement, it said any member of the university community identified to be involved in what it describes as a cruel incident will be appropriately sanctioned. In a viral video on social media, a naked young man was seen being assaulted around the southern part of the university's campus. Maxwell Agbagba joins me in the studio with details of the statement. Maxwell, the university has been explaining the circumstances surrounding the incident. What did it say?
Well, it says preliminary information from the University Security Services Unit revealed the following. A young man dressed like a female was seen in the Okpunglu area seeking accommodation and was accommodated by some women in the area. Now, during the night, his true identity was revealed, leading to physical assault by the women who accommodated him. A refuse collector, assuming the young man to be a woman, intervened and took him to a refuse collection site behind Dr. Hilal Lemant, which is one of the halls on University campus. Now, realizing the true gender, the following morning, the refuse collector also assaulted the young man, instructing him to leave the area. The security personnel were alerted by University of Ghana students to intervene. Some of the students who watched the scene took videos. Now, the University Security Services Unit handed both the young man and the refuse collector, both of whom are not students of the university, over to the Legon Police for investigations. He concludes by saying that the university, any member of the school identified to be involved in this cruel incident, to be appropriately sanctioned.
Thank you, Maxwell Akmagwa. Now, authorities at the University of Ghana have justified the recent increase in the cost of accommodation in residential halls. The school says the recent 33% hike in fees is due to the rising cost of living. We'll hear from the authorities shortly, but first, listen to some first-year students who have been left stranded because they could not get accommodation. They've been interacting with my colleague Kenneth Jissy.
You know how cost of living has increased, price of goods and services have increased. And yesterday I was mentioning that janitorial services, for example, we were paying a little over 13,000 a month for Volta Hall, but now we are paying 28,000 a month. So it's more than doubled. And fixing damages and faults that are reported by students, etc. And that is why we wrote to the POVC to permit us to increase the residential facility user fees.
Well, addressing the complaints, chair of the heads of halls at the University of Ghana, Dr. Margaret Amankwa-Poku says the situation was necessitated by the rising cost of living.
I'm with my uncle at Medina, so I come from there every time. It's stressful, yes, because they charge a lot with the taxi drivers. It's so stressful,
They said it's full. It's limited. It's randomly picked, so when you didn't apply fast, it's now full, so couldn't get some.
I used to know that it was $750 per semester, but now when we got the hall, they were like 1,000 cedi per semester. Then you pay some other levies and stuffs.
So you had there students who are complaining about accommodation fees, and earlier you had Dr. Margaret Amankwa-Poku, who is chair of the heads of halls at the University of Ghana, explaining why increase in the fees there. Now, the Judicial Service of Ghana has confirmed its support for the Ministry of Works and Housing's redevelopment plan, which it says will help resolve the housing deficit for judges, responding to allegations about a collusion between a former Chief Justice and the sector minister to sell the official residence of the late Justice Samuel Mafulsao. The Judicial Service, in a statement, clarified that the redevelopment plan is to help resolve the housing deficit for judges. Evans Mensah has excerpts of the statement.
The Judicial Service is clarifying the situation. They received a letter from the ministry responsible for works and housing expressing this desire to implement a government redevelopment scheme within a Onyisia Close. That's a Roman Ridge area. This is the same area that the plot of land that used to be occupied by the former Justice Mafulsao. And the state had written to the Judicial Service indicating that there's a plan to redevelop this particular area. Now, the Judicial Service goes on to tell us that, in fact, it's not only one plot that was in question, there were two of them, and that two properties had been allocated by the Ministry of Works and Housing to the Judicial Service. And now the Judicial Service clarifies that the plan under the government redevelopment scheme, as expressed by the Judicial Service, was to increase the housing stock in the enclave within a 2-year period from the date of handover of the properties to the ministry. Now, upon completion of the project, 4 housing units were to be allocated to the Judicial Service for use by the Superior Court judges.
Now, government's efforts to combat the surge in mobile money fraud requiring users to compulsorily link their SIM cards to their Ghana cards was hailed as a move to curb fraudulent activities that had become a growing concern in the mobile money sector. It was expected that linking each SIM card to a verified identity could thwart the illegalities, protect users and maintain the integrity of financial transactions. In the following feature, Michael Ashali reports that the Momo fraudsters continue to prey on the unsuspecting public.
Rose and Okwe have been victims of cyber fraud.
And when they called me, they said they've sent me some amount of 400 cedis. So I should check by dialing my PIN. But the moment I just dialed my PIN code, they just took the money. And later on, I called them to beg them that please, the money was for something important.
From enticing phone calls promising rewards to posing as mobile network agents, the aim of the scammers is simple. Extract your personal information and use them to later impersonate you.
Numbers, please. What are your AC numbers over there?
What number?
Haven't you received any AC number? Your AC code, please. That is 6 numbers, please. We are verifying it for you.
About it is that there are basic things. Some red flag. One of the red flags is that you want something. Red flag. Immediately somebody tells you one, it's a red flag.
Well, we'll bring you the full excerpt of that feature by Michael Ashali in subsequent bulletin, and that's how we end the news at 6. In our top story, Parliamentary Christian Fellowship calls on the Seventh Day Adventist Church to reconsider its decision to push for a change in the day for voting in general elections. I am Amisi Nyamiche Thompson. Business is next on the Super Morning Show.
The boys are lined up looking for an opening. They are charging forward from our 3. Kuku has his eye on the cashier, but Yao gets there first. He taps, and he scores!
Win your ticket to glory with the ABSA Card Assist. Tap to pay with your ABSA debit or credit card, and you could win an unforgettable Premier League experience in the UK or any of over 50 consolation prizes such as home appliances and shopping vouchers. It's time to tap your way to the Premier League with your ABSA card. ABSA, the official banking partner of the Premier League. Terms and conditions apply.
Be part of the moments to remember with AFCON 2023 on DSTV. Experience Africa's biggest football tournament with all 52 thrilling games live and in HD the way you like it. Enjoy expert commentary that will blow your mind.
It's a gorgeous finish. Super goal.
And the finest analysis to keep you in the game. Live your pride, passion and love for Africa's beautiful game from the 13th of Jan to the 11th of Feb on Supersport or anywhere on DSTV Stream.
Hello? Yeah, Kofi. Charlie, we spoke about going to Imperial for our motor insurance today.
Share. Are you the one to remind me? I am at Imperial already.
What?
I told you about their motor insurance promo, right?
Yeah.
This time it is reloaded, my brother.
Wow.
Imperial General is saying, come insure with them from now till the end of April and get yourself handsome rewards. 4 coupons, special souvenirs, gift vouchers, and many, many more. And here's the catch. During this reward period, your motor insurance policy will give you an automatic 1-year life insurance cover, my brother. And now you can also get brand new tires and other car accessories as well. It is really reloaded. Everybody qualifies. Just insure your car and you are done.
Hey, Charlie, I can even do it online and still get my reward.
Oh yes, don't slow. Talk to your broker, agent, or call us on 0577 667 436 for further details. You can also follow us on all our socials. T's and C's apply. Imperial General Assurance. Solid protection.
Millennium Insurance has enhanced its motor insurance policy cover to make life more comfortable for you, our valued clients, and in the event of vehicle breakdown whilst on the road. To ensure your safety and that of your vehicle, Millennium Insurance will ensure that your broken down vehicle is towed to a safe place within 1 hour of call and 30 kilometers radius from the place of breakdown. This service is absolutely free. Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner, is on standby to be of service to you. Contact us now on 0501 394 997 or 0501 285 821, 0501 394 997 or 0501 285 821.
Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner.
chocolate biscuits, serving you original milky richness for 20 years. Munch, a rich ankasa. This advert is FDA approved.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex Tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex Tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, stress-free. Syntex Tank, reliable. Syntex Tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244-335-168, Kumasi 0505-555-666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, strong, tough.
The wait is over. It's the Clash of Titans. The Total Energies African Cup of Nations Côte d'Ivoire 2023 is here. And as part of this year's competition, all Total Energy service stations will go into 100% football mode. So drive to selected service stations and kickstart your year with lots of amazing giveaways. This is our way of supporting our gallant Black Stars. So starting Sunday 14th January, when you buy fuel or lubricants from selected Total Energy service stations on Ghana match days, you instantly win amazing branded souvenirs. Let's celebrate the passion of football together and win lots of gifts during the 2023 Total Energies African Cup of Nations. Remember, promo is valid while stocks last. Visit our social media pages, Total Energies GH, for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Let's live football together.
Bafustun.
Hey, morning.
Charlie, morning. So, SDA says we should either have the elections on the first Tuesday of November or first Tuesday of December. Make it the first. Make it, well, because they are not aware of any religious group that considers Tuesday to be their holy day. So what they are doing, what they are saying is that they are thinking of all other religious groups, Muslims, Christians, who might have Friday or Sunday as, religious days, but no one has Tuesday.
What if there's a religious group that comes up later and says, well, Tuesday is our holy day?
Then they also write petition. So, but you see, the SDA is quite a big stakeholder in elections itself. They say that on election day, 2,090 church buildings and a lot of their school buildings as well, even more than 2,090, are used as polling centers. Okay. They say some of their church members are used by the Electoral Commission as temporary staff on election day. So they are big stakeholders in this thing. And first of all, their church members being asked to work on their Sabbath, which is Saturday, that first of all would contravene the tenets of their religion. So as for working, there be. But even the voting, they consider to be problematic if it must be done on their Sabbath. And so they are making this proposal of a change, which would require the Constitution to be amended and a non-entrenched clause of the Constitution to be amended. But they are calling for it. They are saying, look, can we do that so that this year we don't have to have Seventh Day Adventists breaching their Sabbath?
And what does it also mean if we're using, let's say, SDA schools, churches? That means we can't use those places for voting. Does that also imply that?
Well, it's a Saturday. They'll be worshipping there in their churches. Maybe not the schools, but the churches, yes.
The churches, so
they'll be worshipping there.
No voting can take place there, well, like clearly. If it's a center or something.
I suspect that would be a problem.
Well.
Yeah. So, this is what they are proposing.
We voted on a Sunday before, right?
On a Saturday.
On a Sunday?
Yes. We voted on Sunday before. We voted on Saturday before. It did. It happened.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know whether we used any churches on that occasion, but it worked. We've also voted on a Saturday before, even the Saturday that is being protested by the SDA.
And what happened before?
The election happened.
The election happened. Well, I don't know. I just feel we should keep it at 7th. Yeah.
It's a tough one because, religious considerations can really throw things into turmoil. I mean, you remember when Tyrone Magai wanted to go to school with his dreadlocks and, people. So in the end, one of the big questions was that what harm does it do to let the person observe their religious, tenets? What harm does it do to let Seventh Day Adventists have Saturday as their Sabbath so that the nation votes on a different day? What harm does it do?
And what happens in future if another group says, well, Tuesday is our day also, so what do we do? Yeah.
What harm does that also do if we then move it to, say, Wednesday? What harm does it do?
Well, the conversation has started.
Yep. And it shall continue. Right now, though, let's be grateful where we can. For the 6 a.m. news, it was brought to us by Total Energies. Total, we go the extra mile for you. Absa Bank Ghana Limited, helping you find a way to get things done. And Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner. Now for the Joy Business Report. We're grateful to Glyco Life Travel Insurance. And, of course, Africa World Airlines, touching Africa, touching the world.
You're a genius. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Joy Business Report. Coming up this morning, government to open negotiations with Eurobond holders in London on Monday as it moves to restructure about $13 billion of debt. Meanwhile, government has been advised to remain fiscally disciplined in order to ensure the economy is not hurt in the long run. Also coming up, Bank of Ghana to cut policy rate by 8 percentage points to 22% by the end of the year, a move that will stimulate private sector spending. Details coming up. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Joy Business Report. Special hi to our friends listening in Koforidua on KTU Radio. My name is Darryl Kwao. First up, government is expected to formally open negotiations with Eurobond holders and commercial creditors in London on Monday, January 21. The engagement will target institutional investors that are holding these financial instruments. Now, government is seeking to restructure about $13 billion worth of debts as it is proposing up to 40% interest rate cut. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta admits this negotiation will be a tough one for Ghana.
I'm expecting that we will all negotiate in good faith. I'm looking at the country coming back quicker than later. We have had discussions with Eurobond investors, some of the larger creditors, and there's goodwill.
How quickly are you hoping to also reach any preliminary deal with them?
You know, I had a very optimistic view to conclude all of these negotiations by end of 2023, which did not happen. So when I look at current situation between concluding the MOU, OCC, and then the process with the Eurobond, I don't know. I guess I give myself latest end of March or something as a goal that we should shoot for to put an end to all of the restructuring.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in that exclusive interview with George Yafe, which airs on PM Express Business Edition tomorrow, Thursday at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Now, turning to other news, economist Professor Governor Bokwen has said that any attempt to increase recurrent expenditure in the 2024 election year to please the electorates will come back to badly hurt the economy. He says there's little space for government to spend in areas that will only encourage consumption without impacting on growth. Professor Bokwen advised the government to be mindful of how it even intends to spend from projected tax revenue.
Okay, we don't need to overspend to win over elections because the consequences of that after the election will come back to bite us as Ghanaians. So, for instance, if government decides that from the second half of this year, July, they are going to increase salaries of public sector workers by, let's say, 30% in the rest of them. And that will be simply because we want you want to cut voters, okay, do we have the fiscal space to accommodate that?
You heard economist Professor Godfrey Bokpain. Now, Associate Professor of Finance at the Andrews University in the U.S., Professor William Prepra, has cautioned government and other political parties against campaign promises if it wants to remain fiscally disciplined. According to him, it is incumbent on the government to live within its means to sustain economic growth. His advice follows rating agency Fitch's warning that countries without access to international capital markets, including Ghana, will face some challenges. Take a listen.
And especially this is a political season, and political parties must be careful with their campaign messages and promises, knowing that tax revenue will not be able to help us to fulfill those promises. Promises a political party should give or may give must be within something that's within our budget. In the past, both parties who have managed Ghana, they've come out with huge promises, and when they come to implement, the funds are not there and they go out to borrow. But this time, we have learned our lessons. It is better to come out with a promise that you can fulfill within our means, the means of Ghana, not to try to borrow too much so that we find ourselves in the mess that we have now.
Associate Professor of Finance at the Andrews University in the U.S., Professor William Prepra. Now, the Bank of Ghana will embark on a sizable monetary easing cycle, cutting the policy rate by a cumulative 800 basis points to 22% by the end of the year. That's forecast by Fitch Solutions. This success follows a substantial moderation of headline inflation. Here's more.
Since 2021, the Bank of Ghana has hiked the benchmark policy rate by 1,150 basis points to 30%. This has restricted access to corporate credit. But with inflation easing substantially, the central bank is expected to embark upon policy easing. However, Fitch Solutions said it usually takes about 12 months for interest rate adjustment to affect the real economy due to the lag in monetary transmission mechanisms. As such, the UK-based firm believes that the Bank of Ghana's dovish monetary policy stance is unlikely to result in a sharp increase in real loan growth, which has remained in contractionary territory over January to August last year. Meanwhile, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana would hold its 116th regular meetings from Tuesday, January 23 to Friday, January 26 to review development in the economy.
Now, some development partners are optimistic and confident in the quick turnaround of the economy this year, following the recent improvements in inflation and some stability in the local currency. Speaking to Joy Business on the prospects of the good target for this year, Chief Economist at the United Nations Development Programme Ghana office, Fatoumata Cissé, said there is a high chance of transformation in the economy this year.
It's an optimistic moment right now to be in Ghana. We have seen the statistics that is presented and how the economy is slowly beginning to turn around. And that optimism, with what the aspirations that we have in the budget, galvanizing many other stakeholders, the chances are indeed high, and we can begin to see light at the end of the tunnel. We are not saying it's all fixed, but as they said, the emphasis of the budget is first of all stabilizing the economy, and then we begin to see growth. We are not seeing retrogression. We see improvements in the inflation rate. We see improvements in GDP growth rate. So I think there's room for us to be optimistic. But
Dr. Fatoumata Cissé, Chief Economist for UNDP Ghana and West Africa. Now, Associate Director Tax and Regulatory Services at Deloitte Ghana, Awizong Pano, is entreating local businesses to take advantage of some tax exemptions by the government. Speaking on the marketplace on Joy News, Awizong Pano urged businesses to leverage existing tax exemptions to reduce their tax burden.
In a year where you have high tax costs, all companies, all businesses will have to make sure that they are identifying all tax deductions available to them and all tax incentives, and make sure that they are making the most out of it. Local production of sanitary towels will now go at 0% VAT. So companies in that space should make sure that they are taking advantage of that this year and going forward. Then in a high tax environment, businesses should have a tax rate strategy.
You had Awizong Pano, who is Associate Director, Tax and Regulatory Services at Deloitte, speaking on the marketplace as part of the Joy Business Advisory Series. While today we'll bring you the Joy Business Van, will feature McFix Engineering, which has created a cocoa pod breaker machine to help solve bean harvesting challenges. Take a listen. A breaker machine crushing tons of cocoa pods within minutes. This could have taken hours and potentially days to finish if it was done manually.
innovative cocoa pod breaker machine was created by Daniel Chumesi and Elizabeth Amwa, who were both trained at the Design and Technology Institute. Both Daniel and Elizabeth hail from cocoa farming communities and understand the challenges with manual crushing of cocoa